Today's podcast is being sponsored by Williams & Ellerby, Georgia's premier personal injury attorneys, and also by Above the Cloud Media and Marketing, where we take your video and marketing needs above the cloud.
All right, good afternoon. I'm sitting here with a friend and a great guest, Joel Williams. But before I do that, I want to just mention our two sponsors have been Williams & Ellerby, the attorney firm, and also In the Cloud, Michael's Video Company. And if you ever need either service, I can promise you it's somebody that I would do business with if I needed that service. And I hopefully don't have to use Joel. I've got Michael on hook already, so I just want to let you know, two great companies, two great leaders, and it's a pleasure to work with them and their staffs. And a little congratulations to Mike. His daughter Amani got engaged over the weekend, and so his family's all excited about that. You've got something for you to wait for.
Oh gosh,
down the
scares
pipe.
me to death.
And it goes fast, I'll tell you.
I bet.
So, Joel, I've been doing this podcast now a couple of years, and I've done a lot of people at church. I started with Mike, and I've done some of the honorees and everything. And I said, you know, I think I really need to get into the sponsors, the behind-the-scene guys and ladies that make Hog run. And it's just like when I'm on the stage at the end of the night and when I'm closing, I try to tell people that we couldn't exist with our format without the great sponsors we have. And I thought you would be good to do first because you came to me most likely differently than anybody else I have as a sponsor. So we'll get into that story and we'll get into it. We're going to talk a little baseball. We're going to talk about the Golden Gate Bridge.
Let's do it.
We got some interesting things to talk about. So let me get started. Where'd you go to law school?
So I went to law school in Birmingham, Alabama at Cumberland School of Law, which is at Samford University, Southern Baptist University, and yeah, it was great. Loved it.
So, well, let me tell you, my grandson Sloan went to Samford his first 2 years.
Okay.
He just transferred to Georgia. He wanted to go to a big school.
Sure.
Loves Samford. He's already been back there one weekend for a little fraternity get together. Yeah. And the other thing, I never realized this, is that Bobby Bowden played football there.
He did.
And do you know 2 weeks ago when they had a home opener, they had a ceremony, they named the field is now Bobby Bowden
No
Field.
kidding. I did not know that.
So he in the past couple of months, he's had two fields named in his honor, which he should.
Well, he deserves it. He was a great man and a great coach.
And a great Christian.
That's right.
I didn't realize that part of it until all of this came up. But he was, you know, he treated the kids like they were his sons, and which to me, for a good coach, kids, that's what they want.
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
You know, give me a chance to play, but treat me and teach me how to become a man.
Sure.
So.
That's right.
But well, that's interesting. And then, are you an Alabama boy? How you got to Samford, or?
Almost. I grew up in Georgia in Early County, which, if anybody knows where that's at, it is as close as you can get to Alabama without being in Alabama. So if you swim right across the Chattahoochee River, you're going to be in Columbia, Alabama, which is close to Dothan. So I grew up there. My family, except for my immediate family, my mom and my dad's side of the family, all lives down there still. It's really, you know, peanut country, corn country, cotton country, which is great, and I love it, especially if you like to do things outdoors. But, you know, if you want to be in a larger place and be able to expose your kids to more opportunity, you sort of need to be in a place like Kennesaw, Ackworth, in the Atlanta area. And we were just drawn to this place because my wife's sister lives here, and she ended up coming to work for our law firm after we moved the firm up here. But yeah, I grew up down there hunting, fishing, playing football, doing all those kind of things because that's the only things there were to do down there. So we
Really
enjoyed
redneck, huh?
Kind of.
All right, I got a real country boy sitting on.
Listen, there's always somebody that's a bigger redneck than you are.
Oh,
so.
that's right. But you know, I grew up in South Florida, and back when I grew up, Florida was just starting to change from people that were born and raised there, where they were starting to get the influx of new people. We got there because my dad was in the Air Force, and he was stationed at West Palm Beach Air Force Base there. They closed it, and we were getting ready to go to Norman, Oklahoma. And you know, at that time I was going to Catholic school and everything, but didn't realize the old thing, God does things for certain reasons. Well, Dad was an asthmatic, and he got sick, and he got relieved. They thought he was his asthma was too bad, and so he said to Mom, instead of picking up sticks, let's stay right down here.
Yeah.
So we stayed West Palm Beach, which was great. And then, like I said, I had, out of, I guess, all my high school buddies, I only had 2 that were born in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of them were like myself and everything. So I went to junior college down there. I studied hotel restaurant management, wanted to get into the hospitality industry, and so that's I stayed there, and then I got engaged to a girl from New York, and we were living in New York. I was not a happy camper. A buddy of mine got me a job down here, and I've been down here. But, you know, I got involved in North Star 13 years ago. I think I told you a little bit about the story when we first met and everything. And through Mike Lynch, as we were just talking, you know, jumping from David and Goliath over to Bobby Cox.
Yeah, he had you hooked as soon as you mentioned baseball.
He got me hooked right away. But like I said, I wanted to get involved do this with a sponsor, because we have a little thing. I've talked to you about it, and in the world, the business world, and law is a business world. You're out there, you know. And you've got that old ROI thing that you look at on that piece of paper at the end of the year, and everything. And on our side, on the ministry and 501c3 type companies or other companies, they're ROS. That's return on sacrifice.
Right.
And I was lucky, and I'll let you pick up the story. I got a phone call one day. It rang, and in fact, I didn't take it. I missed the call. I picked it up about 20 minutes later, and it was a lady said, "My name's Karen Cheney. I'm with Williams Law Firm. I'd like to talk to you." So I knew I hadn't done anything wrong, so I wasn't in trouble.
Yeah, Bob's going to jail.
So I called her back, and she told me the story that you all were looking to get involved with the ministry, and I said, "Oh, that's nice. Do you have sponsors?" "Oh, yeah." So we set up an appointment, and about 3 days later, I met with you and her and I, and you know, boom, we walked out of there as a relationship, and I think it's been a pretty good one. I mean, I think you've got a great company and have done well. And
Thank you.
It was in 2019 at the Christmas concert. You stopped me and said, "Hey, Bob, come by. I want to talk to you about something." And you know, I said, "Okay, I'll see you one day this week." So tell me, as we'll get back to that story, Terry, tell me why you felt it was good to invest your money in a sacrifice versus a bottom line profit margin.
Sure. We were kind of kicking back and forth ideas, because there are nonprofits and there are charities that are enormous. And I'm not taking anything away from them, because large nonprofits can do great things in this world, and they have their place. But for us, being a smaller business, we were looking for a smaller nonprofit that could make a more immediate impact on our local community, because we wanted to plug in, we wanted to get involved. And so we kind of spread out. We started looking at different nonprofits. I mean, we looked at some places like, horse rescues and things like that. And Karen came to me and she said, hey, I found this one, is helping one guy, or Hog, and kind of explained to me what you guys do. And I just said, that's it. That's perfect. Because, if you've got $100 and you give it to a huge corporation or a huge nonprofit, you never really tangibly see what those results are.
Right.
But with Hog, we can sponsor, and help cover some of the overhead and all of that stuff, which allows the dinners to happen and the assistance to go directly into the pockets of individual people who really need it. And I always appreciate, that you do your homework to make sure that the people that are receiving the gifts they need it, that it's not some scam, it's not some fluke. This is a real thing, and I have always felt like you guys do a good job of trying to allocate those gifts in a way that they have the most impact on the person that's receiving them. And that's fulfilling to me, because I can see it. I see those results. I see at the dinners where somebody who gets up, they've been through this horrific time in their life, whether it's an illness or an accident or an injury or whatever, or death of the family, a diagnosis, and they're already going through so much, and they're loved on, they're gifted on, and I don't know what's more valuable. It's probably different for everybody. Some people, the financial assistance makes a world of difference. For some people, I'm sure it's just coming into a room and having everybody there let them know that we care, that we really genuinely care about what they're going through. And it spoke to me, the mission, the purpose of Hog. So I was all on board, and I said, well, call Bob, get him in here, let me make sure he's not a goofball. I found out you were a goofball, and I was hooked, right? So,
I should have sent Jane over, and
Oh, no, it was great. But I love everything about Hog, and it just fits the area where we look to give back better than any other nonprofit or charitable organization. And like I said, not to take anything away from any other nonprofit, but you have to give in a way, I think, that fulfills you and makes you feel it makes your heart full when you do this. And Hog makes my heart full, and it's something that we'll continue to support for a very long time.
Well, I appreciate all those nice words, but the story I was trying to get out of him after the first concert, and as it was, everybody was saying good evening to everybody, you said, hey, come by this week, I want to talk to you. And so I get by, I guess, Thursday, whatever day I got there, and we sit down in your office versus the conference room, and you told me that the company had really had a good year, and you wanted to give back a little more to Hog. So I was very thankful and appreciative, because the other thing I didn't realize when I started this ministry, as I grew, I was going to need help. When it comes to bookkeeping and accounting, and then Michael and the videos, the stuff that he does for us, and my web guy, and it just, all of a sudden, here you are, you've got a business, but some of these people can't work for free.
Right.
It's a job.
Sure.
They give you a break on their services. So you and I spoke and everything, and you handed me an envelope, and I said, thank you very much. And, we said goodbye and Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year. Well, when I got out in the car, I had to cheat before I got home. Like a kid. I got to take a peek at this. I want to see.
Right.
And I looked at the gift, and it just, one of the things, just for a break here, I'm on all this medicine for my problems, and I get a little emotional.
Oh, that's okay.
So, but, I mean, for you to make that type of a decision and give, it said your feelings are what you thought of Hawk. And, that you were taking that money and giving it to us and everything. But, what's so nice, here we are talking to Mike Cement. We've been on, Acts. And I can't say, I know why God didn't make me a pastor. I can't say, I used to think it was the cities. Now I'm into names.
Right.
But, the one person he gave all the money he had. And then the other person that said, God, if you give me this, I'll give it to the church.
Right.
Well, he didn't do that. So he lied directly to God, and God handled that situation.
Right.
And so I've learned giving is a lot easier than I ever thought it was, but being in Acts right now, it's really, made me think again about service and
Sure.
what you do and everything. So I'm proud that Williams and Ellaby are part of HOG and everything, and what you do for us, and it's fantastic. Now let's get in. Okay, so you've come aboard. You're now a sponsor and a friend. And at the time you were going to another church. You've told me today that you're now North Star. Your children like the preschools. Stuff. I tell anybody, if you're looking for a church and you have children, come to North Star.
Yep.
Because we do it the right way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it makes a big difference when you have a family if your kids are excited about where they're going to go, right? So we were at a smaller church, wonderful people at that church. I mean, absolutely wonderful people, but it was an older church, and the kids program wasn't that strong, and so it was a struggle dragging them out of the house. Oh, you're going to church, and so it wears on you as a parent. And then we went to another very large church and with a huge kids program, but for some reason it just didn't fit right. And we came here, and first week we came here, they were begging to come back next week. So, so we're like,
even though Chris Bogus has that long beard, he definitely loves kids and shows it. And then when we get to the high school, when they go up there with Casey, I mean, it's such a win situation. I mean, Casey, when Casey graduated from high school, Mike asked some people to write Casey a note and give him a little encouragement. He's getting ready to move away from home, and I was blessed. Mike asked me to do that, and I said in the letter that Casey, you're going to be a star.
Yeah.
But he has a plan for you.
Right.
And I mean, when I see, like 2 weeks ago when he was up on the stage with Cole, I remember the first time I met him, he was 13 years old. Now he's 25. He just got engaged, and he's getting married. And you see these things, and it makes you feel good to do what you do with your ties, but it makes me feel better for what I do to give back and everything. So sure. I'm blessed from the people I meet. We finally, and you can tell Karen this, we finally hit 5 figures in August.
Okay.
We've been knocking on the door and didn't let me in, but they let us in. We had a great night. And the thing that really makes me feel good, Josh Webb was who we honored, and I think you've heard about Josh. He worked with the church, and he had to have brain surgery. But the thing that makes me feel so good about Josh, that he's already come back to me and said, "Wow, I want to get involved with Hog and everything." Well, his right ear, he was totally deaf. He's totally deaf in his right ear because of the brain surgery, and because of that, he went to Medicare to get they have a special hearing aid that it'll take that and it'll take the sounds and it'll move it over to your good ear. Well, he didn't qualify for it, but he called me up to tell me that because of what we had done, he had enough money to get it. So he's got his hearing aid.
Nice.
He's back to 100% with hearing everything.
Nice.
And but back to the ROS return on service, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice for you, for your company, but for what you do at church and everything. And God will make sure you get a return on your investment. You know, I promise you. But the service part of it being a sacrifice. Last night I related it to the game in the third inning when they bunted and get the two guys over to second and third. Okay, I'm a small ball guy. I'm an old baseball guy. I like the small ball. So they did. Boom. Next guy hits a single. We get 2 runs and I win the game. So it's such a great thing that God does for people. And sometimes he's got to hit you upside the head, which he did with me. And then like Michael, I know that this is a service for him. He's not making a lot of money working for me, but he knows what we're doing and what Hog's about.
Right.
So the other thing I wanted to touch base with you, during the summer I saw some posts that you took the family out west.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my wife on her bucket list has always wanted to do the Pacific Coast Highway.
Okay.
And I'm more of a Northern California guy as opposed to a Southern California guy, but I'm like, well, let's just fly into Sacramento. I want to see the big redwoods and all that. And we just worked our way down Interstate 5 all the way through San Francisco, Los Angeles. We went, what was the name of that town? Great whale watching place. I can't think of the name of it. You asked me after we turned the camera off, and I can tell you. So anyway, we went there, ended up in San Diego, spent about 10 days doing that, and I did not kill my kids after being in a car with them for 10 days, and we just loved it. It was great. We enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
You guys get a convertible, or was it a hardtop?
No, we were in an SUV because
okay. Well,
I knew that if I put my 6-year-old and my 12-year-old close to each other, somebody was going to get punched in the face, and not by me, but one of them, the 6-year-old, was probably going to punch the 12-year-old. So I'm like, you know what? Let's spread out a little bit.
Yeah. All right. What'd you think of the Golden Gate Bridge? And looking to your, I guess you were going south, so you look to your left to see San Quentin.
Right. Yeah. So I was driving, trying to keep it between the lines.
Right.
And so my wife and my kids were filming as we were going across. So I actually got to enjoy it when I saw it on camera after we went across. But yeah, I was telling you before we got started, there was another podcast that American History Tellers does, and they talk about the history of the Golden Gate Bridge and all the challenges that went into building that thing at the time. So I listened to that before we went, which gave me a nice historical perspective on exactly the significance of what I was driving over. So.
All right. Well, that's great. I mentioned to you that I lived there when I was, I think, in second and started third grade and everything. My dad was stationed at Harmon Air Force Base, right north of San Francisco.
Right.
And so I had the privilege of crossing there 3 or 4 times, going down to the city or going to get to the airport. You had to go that way, and we had some family that came out, so we
I should have called you before I went because we were there in July, and I'm thinking, oh, it's California, it's middle of the summer, it's going to be nice and warm. No,
No.
it was cold.
Well, you see, just recently when the Braves played the Giants, everybody had their over jackets.
Oh
on.
yeah, we were down at all the tour shops, like buying sweatshirts and all that kind. I mean, I never thought I'd own a Welcome to San Francisco sweatshirt, but I sure do now.
You do now,
I
right?
do now.
So, well, also, since we've gotten involved, you've grown. I mean, it was Joel Williams, attorney at law, when we started. And let me just, I'll come right back to that. But one of the things I wanted to, you know, good old Southern boy, South Georgia and everything, and watching the Braves, they get a lot of money, advertising dollars,
Sure.
through a lot of people in your business. And as I sit there and I think of Joel Williams, how do those guys, what made them get that big? And I mean, I never knew Morgan & Morgan was all over the country and,
Right.
and all those things. And is that much of it, does that hurt the little guy's business, like Publix versus a little C-store or something like that?
I never really dig too far into that. My approach professionally to business has always been when you just follow the golden rule, right? When you treat somebody the way that you would expect them to treat you, then you're going to be in good shape, right? So as we've grown, we really focused on this Kennesaw, Ackworth, Woodstock area because there's not a ton of law firms up here that do personal injury work, and I said, there's plenty of people that need our services to go around. So let's just get our website going. Let's plug ourselves into the community, get to know people, and business started to go up. But now a lot of our cases and clients come from former clients, brother, sister, friends, somebody they go to church with, something happens to them and they need help. So they call us up, and we have, even though I started this firm and I'm, kind of the captain of the ship, if you will, for the firm, I really enjoy interacting with people every day, whether it's judges in the courtroom, my clients, my even opposing counsel sometimes, depending on who it is. But even opposing counsel, I just thrive off of that, and we always try to keep in mind, you have that one reputation, and once it's gone, right? So I've always tried to conduct myself in a way where if I tell the judge something, if I tell the jury something, if I tell opposing counsel something, it's true and they can take it to the bank, right? If I say my client's not taking less than $100,000 or whatever,
Right.
I'm not taking $99,999. That's it. That's what's going to happen, or we're just going to have to try the case and all that. But I enjoy being in it's not that Kennesaw and Ackworth is small. It's smaller than tight-knit, right?
Right.
A lot of people still know each other. It's just like, I forget what Pastor Mike calls it, with the leadership area around where he brings
Lunch with leaders?
Lunch with leaders. He
Have you
brings
ever
in
been?
I have not.
You need to go.
Okay. I need an invite.
Well, I will get you one.
But you bring people in, and it's still that tight-knit community. And so we keep our caseload relatively small on purpose. We get a lot more calls than we can take as far as cases go. But even the ones that we can't take, we try to make sure they end up with a law firm that can help them, right? Some firms take a different approach, and it's fine. It's just their business model where they take every single case that comes in,
Right.
and they have 10,000 cases, and you think that maybe the person on top of the tractor trailer holding the sledgehammer or the whatever that clever advertising slogan happens to be, you think they're going to be your lawyer. They're not going to be your lawyer. It's going to be a team of paralegals and maybe a to your associate that handles your case.
Right.
And I just have always felt like if I need a lawyer, if I need to call a lawyer, I should be able to get my lawyer on the phone. I should be able to call my lawyer on his cell phone or her cell phone. They should be accessible to me at any reasonable time, any reasonable hour. And because we keep our caseload the way we are, we're able to do that. And it also allows us to spend the time that we need to spend on each individual case to make sure that this client's needs are fully met, right?
Right.
And we're not just trying to herd them in and out like cattle, because then you do a disservice to your client, you do a disservice to your profession if you treat people that way.
And that's why when I started Hog, I didn't want to do it every month because I felt like that person that we were going to honor, there was a reason to honor them, that we needed to make sure we did our homework and we did a good job for them, and to help give us more time to hopefully raise some money.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one thing that really was appealing to me about Hog, because when you can do something, whether it's provide a service or provide financial assistance, and you can see the difference that it makes in one person's life, a tangible difference, whether you're getting them out from a mountain of debt or whether you're just getting them past this hump to where they can move forward with their life, that is so fulfilling. It just is. I mean, to me, whether it's resolving a case where somebody's got a mountain of medical bills and they need to get out from up under it, or they can't work and they need some replacement for their lost wages, or whether it's helping with an organization like Hog, where I can see the benefit to this person, right? When I see that, it's one of the best feelings in the world.
yeah,
And I guess some small part of me hopes that if I'm ever in the situation of a Hog recipient or in the shoes of one of my clients where I need somebody to help me, that I can find somebody that will treat me the way that my law firm treats my clients and the way that Hog treats its honorees.
But we still have people that don't understand why we give 100% back. Hey, why don't you keep 10 or 15 to cover maybe you're a sponsor short here or there and that. I tell them that's not our story.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's not about you, it's about them.
that's right.
And that's what we always have to focus on. And it's the same way with, I guess, with my business is I'll always remind myself that it doesn't matter how big or how great a result it is. It's not about me. It's about my client and the person that I'm trying to help. And as long as, if I ever get away from that,
Right.
I'm hanging it up.
Right.
I'm buying a bass boat. I'm going fishing, and that's it. Because that would be all about me.
So-
But you know,
Well, so if that happens, all I have to do is buy a new bathing suit. And,
there you go.
But
There you go.
you know, it's great, and that's why I love that you are part of Hog, and that when people go on and see sponsors, that they see Williams and Ellaby. You know, it's because I know that the people are, their heart is in the right place. It's about, even though it's a business for them, they got 3 children, a wife, and a couple of pets and things to feed, that they'll take care of those things, and they're going to do it the right way.
Well, I appreciate it, Bob, and this, you know, and thank you for inviting me to be on this podcast, and you know, for putting our law firm name up and on all the banners. But it's really not. That's not what it's about for me.
Right.
It's about seeing the way that you guys are able to give back and to help people on an individual basis. And if somebody sees our name on a banner or they see us on this podcast and hire us, that's great. But I assure you, you could take our name off of every banner. You can delete this podcast and throw it in the garbage can, and we're still going to be sponsoring you guys.
Well, that's great to hear, and everything. But well, we've done a good job. I think we've been up here 35 minutes, and
There you go.
and I know the boss is ready for us to. I'll get him to send this over to you also.
Okay.
He'll cut that part out of it and
Yeah.
everything. And maybe you can put it on Facebook every day. But we're just redoing our website.
Okay.
And we've now got it set up that somebody goes, he clicks on your web, they go directly to it
Okay.
and everything. We just finally got that done
There you go.
and everything. Well, Joe, it's a pleasure. I mean, you've given me some good news. I'm glad to hear that you and the family are now part of North Star.
Yeah.
It's a great church. I mean, I promise you that your children are in good hands, and I will get an invitation sent to you for the, which will be the October lunch
Sounds good.
and everything. So
All right.
God bless you.
Thank you, Bob. God bless you.